저는 오늘 아주 특별한 분을 만나 뵙기 위해서 찾아왔습니다. 우리 브래드 TV에서도 방송을 한 적이 있었죠. 이스라엘 프론트 라인의 진행자이시고요. 또 우리 브래드 TV에서 매월 한 차례씩 번역해서 여러분들께 소개하고 있는 마오즈 이스라엘 리포트의 편집인이십니다. 뿐만 아니라 이스라엘에서 이미 수십 년 전에 기독교 다큐멘터리 영화를 만드신 감독이시자 또 제작자이시고, 그리고 전 세계를 다니면서 많은 분들에게 현재 이스라엘의 영적인 상황에 대해서 소개하고 기도를 요청하며 다니시는 정말 바쁘고 다재다능한 분이십니다. 시라 소코람 씨를 만나 뵙기 위해서 대구로 찾아왔습니다. 고맙습니다. 이렇게 초대해 주셔서. 우리 브래드 TV에서 이스라엘 프론트라인 화면으로만 뵙다가 이렇게 직접 실물을 뵈니까 화면보다도 실물이 훨씬 더 젊고 아름다우십니다.
Thank you.
이런 질문 해도 될지 모르겠지만 혹시 올해 연세가 어떻게 되십니까?
I'm 76 years old.
와우.
And in another 3 months, I will be 77.
야, 근데 제가 뵙기에는 한 50대 후반 정도로밖에 안 보이거든요.
Thank you. Thank you.
아니, 그렇게 나이가 있으신데도 굉장히 정열적으로 이 사역을 하시는 것 같아요. 제가 소개했던 것처럼 다방면으로 일도 하시고, 또 말씀 들어보니까 어저께 외국에서 이스라엘로 오셨다가 또 내일 또 다른 나라로 출국하신다고. 그렇게 바빠도 괜찮습니까, 건강에는?
I read the Bible through every year. And reading the Bible keeps me in an intense mode of just thinking about people not going to heaven because they don't know Yeshua. And so then the Lord is constantly giving to Ari and me new ways to reach out. We have several new projects that have not been done anywhere, and we believe it'll be good for the Jewish people, and we also believe it'll be good for the Muslim people. So the Lord keeps giving us these ideas, and we can't lay them down. So onward march. We just keep going.
이스라엘 프론트라인 굉장히 내용이 유익하고 기대되는 그런 프로그램이었거든요. 그래서 저희 브래드 TV에서도 매주 그것을 번역해서 소개하다가 어느 순간부터는 그 이스라엘 프론트라인이 방송이 끝났어요. 중단이 됐어요. 그 중단된 이유가 뭐죠?
Because to produce that kind of a film while we're doing all these other projects at the same time was more than what I could do, because I am 76 after all. And actually, to tell you the truth, doing this kind of work in front of film, even with you, is difficult for me because I like to write. If I'm writing, I can scratch out, I can rewrite, I can think the best words. And when I'm in front of the camera with you, just whatever comes out, comes out. So I felt like I could do with the time I have more work, more fruit by writing than by trying to do more films.
그 프로그램에 이제 시라 소코람 씨가 진행을 하시면서 각 분야의 전문가들이 또 이렇게 모여서 서로 그 부분에 대해서 설명해 주는 아주 굉장히 유익한 토론 프로그램이었는데 다시 시작할 어떤 계획은 없으십니까?
Not at this time. Not at this time. I don't see how I can do. For instance, we are starting a new project of a Bible in English that's called the Narrated Bible in Chronological Order. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of such a thing, but I can tell you, I'm going to probably surprise you, that most Israelis do not know, cannot read the Bible, cannot understand the Hebrew. Did you know that? They cannot read the Bible and understand it. It's because the Hebrew is so ancient that even your typical Israeli who was born in this land, they cannot understand it. And so they don't, this country is like the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So there is a Bible in English called the Narrated Bible in chronological order. And I read the Bible through every year. This particular, and usually I change, every year, a different Bible, a different version. But this is the fourth year that I have read the narrated Bible because it is so clear. First of all, it's in chronological order. And secondly, it tells in a beautiful narration at the beginning what I'm about to read. And so I went to the Bible Society here in Israel and said, what do you think about doing this Bible in Hebrew? And the words that are too difficult, many words, Israelis don't know what it means, we'll put at the bottom what each of those words mean. And so we have narration, we tell what we're going to read, then we have the chronological order. So when Isaiah is giving his prophecies, which kings, were they good kings, were they bad kings? All of this is explained. And so we approached the Bible Society, my husband and I, and said, would you like to do this if we raise the funds for it? And they said, yes, this is what we've been looking for. So it's going to be a new tool for the Israeli people to be able to read their own Bible, both the Old Testament and the New. So those are some of the projects that we have, and we just need to keep going. And so I can't also do the other, TV stuff.
유대인들이 어려워서 구약 성경도 안 읽는데 아무리 쉽게 쓴다고 해도 신약 성경을 읽을까요?
I think that there will be great interest when people see they can read it and understand it. Remember this, that the ultra-Orthodox Jews, they read the 5 books of Moses, mostly, not altogether, but mostly. And the 5 books of Moses are some of the easiest Hebrew to read. It's not so complicated. When you get to Psalms and Job and the prophets, then it gets very, very difficult Hebrew. So you have the Orthodox Jews who they read the first 5 books, but very little in the rest of the Bible. They only read what the rabbis write about the Bible. Now, your typical Israeli, who is modern Israeli, he has it in school, little portions of it. And as we were discussing with some Sabras, Sabra is a native-born Israeli, we were talking this morning with some of them, and they said, we had in school all our lives we had Bible in school, but he said after 20 years of Bible in one way or another, we didn't learn anything. And so he said, we must have had pretty terrible teachers who couldn't, after all the years in school, teach us something about the Bible. So they don't remember anything because the Bible is not taught with the Spirit. And so these boring teachers talk about the Bible, but they don't really give these people anything. This Bible is going to be, I believe, Spirit-filled, explaining what really went on in the Bible and what kings were God-fearing, and when God got angry with it, why did he get angry? Why was he happy with different kings and nations? So we're going to do it, and it's going to be really, really, I think it'll be very interesting. In fact, one of the guys that was sitting here today, he says, boy, I can't wait for this Bible. I really want to see what's in it.
그러면 그 성경책이 언제쯤 완성이 돼서 유대인들에게 이렇게 보급이 될까요?
We plan to start it in September with God's help. It will cost us more than $500,000 and 3 years at least to produce with top scholars in this country.
빨리 그 책이 완성이 돼서 이스라엘에 있는 유대인들뿐만 아니라 전 세계에 있는 유대인들에게 신약 성경이 많이 읽히는 그 날이 오기를 바라겠습니다. 그런데 너무 그 일이 바쁘다 보니까 매월 발행하시는 마오즈 이스라엘이 좀 또 중단되지 않을까 그런 걱정이 돼요. 마오즈 이스라엘은 계속 나오는 거죠?
Yes. That's my writing project for each month.
마우즈 이스라엘 리포트를 볼 때마다 우리 시라 소크람 씨의 필력이라 그래야 됩니까? 글을 참 잘 쓰세요. 매월 어떻게 그런 주제를 잡고 어떻게 그 많은 자료들을 인용해서 글을 쓰시게 되는지 그 작업 과정을 좀 소개를 해 주시죠.
I'm in Israel and I'm looking at the world around me. And in the university, I studied history. I love history. And I like facts. I read the newspapers. I read the New York Times and some Israeli newspapers, and I watch news on TV. I see how superfluous, how little depth they go. They don't give you facts and figures. I'll give you an example. I'll give you one example. So I'm looking at Europe, let's say, and I see the migrants going into Europe. I also have studied somewhat Islam. I'm not a scholar in Islam. I've read books. I've read books by Arab speakers, Arab people who have converted from Islam to Christianity. I've read some scholars who were scholars, imams, in Islam, and then they found Jesus, Yeshua, Messiah. I read about what they said, and I then looked at the Quran myself. Okay, I want to see what the Quran says, and it said what these people said it says, And so I realized that the basis of Islam is a hatred of God, the God of Israel, a hatred of Israel, a hatred of Jews, and a hatred of Christians. Okay, and on top of that, the commands of Muhammad is to conquer the world. So then I have seen polls taken on Muslims, okay? What do you believe in Sharia law? Do you feel that if a Muslim converts to Christianity, he should be killed? And things like that. I saw polls, very professional polls. They said 10 to 15% of Muslims, yes, are in the jihadi direction. That leaves 85% or even 90% very good Muslims. However, because there's 1.5 billion Muslims, that means that there is a 150 million possible jihadists if you take just the 10%. So you've got all of these people throughout the world who want to follow the commands of Muhammad. Now, besides that, you have many more millions who are not killers. They're not going to go out and kill somebody, but they believe in Sharia law. They sympathize with it. They think it's the best thing. So we have a world now in front of us that is very dangerous. But I never saw that written in any other document. And that's just one example.
우리 시라 소크람 씨께서 보시기에는 앞으로 이 전 세계 많은 나라들 가운데 이스라엘 편에 서는 나라들이 숫자가 점점 많아질 것 같습니까? 아니면 이슬람 편에 서는 나라들이 점점 많아질 것 같습니까?
Europe is very anti-Israel. They vote against Israel. Every opportunity in the UN, they vote against Israel. And they are constantly giving problems to Israel. Today, Prime Minister Netanyahu said, you know what? When China or Russia or India or other nations in the East, I'm sure South Korea, said they do business with us. They don't make demands of us. If we don't do this, they're not going to do, trade with us. But Europe does. Europe says, if you don't give freedom to the Palestinians, if you don't give them this, that, and the other thing, we don't want to do trade with you. There's constant threats by Europe. So who's going to win? The book of Zechariah says that all the nations of the world will come against Jerusalem. So that's going to happen. Now, I just want to add one more thing. Europe was once upon a time a Christian nation, right? They weren't Christians. Some of the times they were very bad. They were very far from God, but they had a basic Christian background. In the last 100 years, 150 years, they have moved away. What are they now? They're agnostics and atheists, okay? That's what they are. They have rejected the Bible. They have rejected the God of Israel. They've rejected Israel. That's why they hate Israel. So there is a void now, a big void. The people don't believe anything. When you don't believe anything religiously, you don't have any identity. And so there's this big void. And guess what? Who's filling that void? Do you know that there's more than 40 million Muslims in Europe now? I really believe this is God who said, okay, you don't want me? You don't want my Bible? You don't want my word? You don't like my family values? You don't like my obedience to things that God created to help us be happy and healthy? Okay, you got it. You got Muhammad and you got Allah. Now, those are going to be, and I really believe that in the next few decades, Islam is going to take over Europe.
All people in Zion who dwell at Jerusalem, I will release you from your captivity and gather you from all the nations and all the places where I have driven you, says the Lord. And I will bring you back to the places from which I sent you into exile. For a brief moment I forsook you, but with great compassion I will gather you. Then you will know that I am the Lord. Return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning.
전 세계에서 그래도 제일 큰 강대국이라고 할 수 있는 미국이 오바마 대통령에서 이제 트럼프 대통령으로 바뀌면서 트럼프 대통령도 이스라엘에 있는 미국 대사관을 텔아비브에서 예루살렘으로 옮겨오겠다 이렇게 이제 약속을 했고요. 또 얼마 전에 니키 헤일리 유엔 주재 미국 대사도 이스라엘을 방문하면서 이제 그동안 유엔이 이스라엘을 괴롭혀왔던 것을 앞으로는 이제 중단하겠다 이렇게까지 이야기를 할 정도로 미국과 이스라엘이 관계가 많이 좋아지고 있습니다. 이 정도 되면은 친이스라엘, 이스라엘 편에 서는 나라들이 더 많아지지 않을까요?
I believe that God heard the prayers of many Americans who watched Obama take America over the cliff. I know that Obama was raised as a Muslim. He was born a Muslim because you go by the father always, and his father was a Muslim. And then he had a stepfather who also was a Muslim until he was 9 years old. So everything that Obama did was what a Muslim would do. Okay, he said he was a Christian, and he was part of a very, very radical called Christian who was very similar to Islam. You know, they hate America, they hate whites, they hate So he was part of that church. And the pastor hated America. He sat there for 20 years. So either he was in as a Muslim or he sat in this hate-filled church. Everything he did that I could see was against Christianity. He tried to bring it down. He tried to put laws around it. The IRS, the income tax people, would not give a charitable organization to born-again Christians, but they would to the atheists, This is what happened. And so the Christians in America started crying out to God, God, have mercy. And I began to hear people, you probably did too, who said God had spoken to them and said that Trump was like Cyrus. He was going to be a Cyrus to Israel, to the U.S., and he was going to turn it around. Well, as I said in a message I gave not long ago, God did not send America Superman Trump. He sent a man very frail, very with character problems, but I believe he has a heart for God. He has more Christians around him. Many of his main advisors are Christians. And he has these regular meetings, like this picture that I showed you, where they come and lay hands on him and pray for him that God will give him wisdom. So I think he's trying, and I think God is using him. And if the Christians will keep praying and stand in the gap, God can turn this around. Already a judge in the Supreme Court who is a God-fearing man, a conservative who doesn't want to take God out of America. He's already in there. And there could be three more. If God takes them out, I'm not saying that they die. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying remove them, Lord, and put in God-fearing men and women. So I believe God is giving America a second chance. That's what I think. As far as Europe is concerned, I think God is giving Britain a second chance. However, it's very, very iffy, very problematic. There's a conservative, Theresa May is the prime minister. She's hanging on with a thread. If the Christians in Britain will get busy and serious with God, God can yet remove England from Europe. In my opinion, it's too late for Europe. I don't think, outside of an enormous revival, Europe is finished, because the Muslims will, in 10, 20 years, they'll be the majority.
영국을 비롯한 유럽을 위해서 기도를 멈출 수는 없지 않습니까? 뭐라고 기도를 해야 됩니까?
We cannot stop. And I can tell you, God wants to save as many people out of Europe as possible. He does. Besides that, there's, like I said, over 40 million Muslims. And you know what? They're in a place where they can hear the gospel. And their chances for being murdered is much less in Europe than if they're in Saudi Arabia or they're in, Turkey or Iran. So yes, even we're working with Arab ministers to get the gospel into Europe. I mean, we're working very hard. Even though our call is to our Jewish people, we are working very hard, but we don't talk about it a lot.
유럽은 이제 그렇다 치고 다시 미국으로 돌아가서, 그런데 트럼프 대통령이 최근 들어서 이렇게 들려오는 소식을 들어보면 뭐 탄핵 얘기도 있어요. 혹시 미국에서 트럼프 대통령이 뭐 쫓겨날 일은 없겠죠?
Here is America going downhill so fast. Now, when Trump came, the devil was shocked. What? I thought I had America. What happened? And so what is happening is that the satanic forces that thought they had America in their hands are now shocked beyond words, and they are doing everything. We'll impeach him. We'll throw him out. We'll murder him.